So Mohammed and Naheem, growing up, did you ever imagine being in Dubai here with your full-grown son?
I think today's generation, there's no loyalty. It's my father, right or wrong, I'm gonna protect him. Honest to God, I'm telling you, I didn't think twice. Smashed him up. I smashed him up.
How did you meet Gino Cross?
Interesting, I think it was a cold call.
You real? What's up, bro?
Let's go.
How you been?
Alhamdulillah, I'm good. How are you, bro?
I'm good. Where are we going?
We are going to see my dad. So today is a little bit different. I'm a bit nervous for this as well, to be honest. Inshallah, we're good. We're gonna just see his story, see exactly what we can get out of him, and just see how he is on camera. He's messaged me already saying he's ready. I'm getting nervous too. Taco?
How are you, brother? I almost want to say uncle.
You can do.
So Mohammed and Naheem, growing up, did you ever imagine being in Dubai here with your full-grown son?
No, you don't. Obviously, the time then was different. It was a different era, trying to say. I came from a family of immigrants. So as an immigrant, you just had one philosophy, was to better yourself. And my parents worked and they installed in me the work ethic and also loyalty, family values. It was a time where we were innocent and we did our parents told. We just went to school. The key factor those days was because my parents immigrated from Pakistan. My parents were part of the apartheid when India and Pakistan split. So there's a lot of stories there that told me that how things were. But I think what they did install was education to better ourselves. And subhanallah, I think my parents would be, Allah knows best, but I think I've bettered myself and made them proud.
And how did you get into real estate and property and all that?
It was weird. Being an Asian family, being a Pakistan family, retail is the key. I mean, people just think open a corner shop, open something in retail and progress. But it was weird. I left school at 16. I went in the family business. And I'm going to tell you a little story. I bought my first property at 16. And I paid £3,000 for it. So every penny I earned, I bought the house. And to me, it was a no-brainer. As a child, you bought a property, within a year to 2 years, the yield was like 80%, you would have paid for the house. It was a no-brainer. But then, being those days, you learned that obviously the toilets were outside and so forth, and there was some sort of sanitary problems, so you had to replumb it and so forth. Yeah. So you got into education about building, a bit more. But then I think I didn't buy our next property till a few years later.
Talk about Superstar though.
Well, the retail?
Yeah, talk about everything.
Sure?
That's where the stories are, innit?
Okay. Yeah, I bought my house at 16. It was, I remember the address, 207 Princess Road.
On Princess Road you bought it?
Yeah. The current values are now about 350 of that house.
Where in Wally Range?
No, Moss Side.
Oh, good, yeah.
Oh, we as an immigration family, immigrant family, our housing was the best. We always got the lower end of housing, whether Moss Side or Long Side, the rough end, and the communities were rough. But we just grew up, and my older brother, mashallah, he had the vision of opening. Well, it's my dad. My dad had the vision of importing things from Pakistan, and he was one of the first to import glass. Little glass, because over in Pakistan there was tea was sold in glass, so it was like chai wala tea and all that. So my dad brought these glasses over, and it became quite viral, and he sold quite a lot of them. And then my older brother, my father back in the day, there weren't no lotteries. There were what we call the football pools, where you predicted the result was going to be a win, draw, loss, and in a line. So you had the whole league, and you had to get, I think, 8 correct. And if you won the 8 correct, you won the lottery. At that time, the pool was whatever, £100, £200, whatever it was those days. And I remember my father, I don't remember this, I've been told by my father, my brother, my parents, my dad won £500. And £500 was, I don't know, say £1 million, made 10 million in, I don't know. But he, out of 500, he bought a retail unit on an area called Windsor Road, which is now called the Curry Mile in Manchester, where the
Why the name switch?
Windsor Road is the road, but it became, Curry Mile became, because they all are Asian takeaways and food places, it became a bazaar for the Asians, so they called it Curry Mile, and that's what they called it about 15, 20 years ago. And where we're up to a point where my dad won the lottery, bought the house, 222 Green Street, and he bought 207 Windsor Road. And
That's why Superstar was, wasn't it?
That's what Superstar was. And it wasn't actually Superstar, it was, but my dad started importing glasses, and because there's a sudden growth of Asian community growing on, so my dad, my brother mainly, he started importing Asian magazines, Asian cassettes at the time. Well, there were 8 tracks. I don't even know 8-track cassettes, like I don't know, 8-track, size of a book, size of a book, 8-track, and he started selling them. And I actually remember 8-tracks were like, you had to really push them in to get them playing in the car. You know, they're not that big they were.
It's like a cassette, right? Like that.
And then after 8-track became the LP, the disc, record disc, the big 12-inch ones. Brought them from abroad, and we just sold them. And then obviously, as the market grew, you had the Bengali market, the South Indian market, you had the Indian market, the Pakistani market. So we couldn't buy from all sorts of countries. So then we found a supplier down south, from South or London, and we used to do that.
When your parents came to the UK and you were born and etc., like you going from not poverty, but like, well, how do you say that? Like, how do you describe it?
Yeah, from zero.
Working class.
Working class to then seeing the type of wealth that you're seeing today. What has that been like?
Well, appreciation more than anything else, and gratitude comes into it, because you don't know what your life would be like in Chechnya. I would not what my life would be like in Pakistan. I can have imagined what it'd be like. But you also got to understand, it was big check for your family to go to Denmark, because my family, we had 2 obstacles. One, language barrier, 0. Second, you remember this, we had no knowledge of English. My parents had no knowledge of English, so they had to communicate. And obviously, you come with every penny you've saved, or you've not got, or whatever you've made. You rob pizza paper, or whatever the needs were. You come back to England, and you have to appreciate the journey. In the 60s, it wasn't like as it is now, jet journey. It was like a good couple of days journey. You know, my dad even did it by road. So you got to understand, it was a different type of. It was different. I mean, obviously the system was different then. I remember my dad's first, he had no ID. It was just a piece of paper. That was it. It was a piece of paper, no passports, nothing. You know, you just, you're coming in, you know, where you from. Because, don't forget, England was England was the Commonwealth. So that was that scenario. But your question was, how did they feel? I think they feel, as we would use the word, aliens.
Yeah.
I mean, don't forget, they were dark, no language barrier. So can you imagine E.T. arriving here now, trying to speak to us, and we go, who the hell are you talking to? You know what I mean? They just, you know, so that they had loads of barriers to come. But the beautiful thing about it now, if you really, really think about it, it was, they helped each other. So you had Sikhs, you had Indians, you had Pakistanis, And my dad tells me a story where they had one room and 6, 7 of them stayed in it. And they all worked, they all helped each other, they all learnt the system. If someone learnt a bit of English, that's how we do.
It's similar to like the labour camps here though, really, when you think about it. Like when they're coming over, there's 6, 7, 8 of them in a room, and it doesn't matter exactly where you're from.
Yeah.
They all have to make each other work.
Yeah, because their mentality is to send money back home.
Yeah. I think for me, it's more like, yeah, you're right, you come from an immigrant family, but then obviously you were over here. It was obviously different for you fitting in the UK. Well, not different, but you had one family at home, like one culture at home and a different culture outside. How was it like mixing the two cultures together? And then obviously he makes a good point, like it was working class, but actually, no matter how working class it was, whether it was by Yusuf, whether it was you turn the tables around.
The way to look at it is that at 16, I left school. My brother had retail shops at the time, and there was one particular retail shop in Rusholme which had majority of the key factor is, if go back in time, when I stood in the retail shop, at that time we were selling VCRs and renting VCRs. As a child, I remember we were hiring the recorders and everything to the customer to take home. It was a big family project on Saturday. They'll watch a movie, an Indian film, and so forth. But when I got to the time for VCRs, and I was thrown in the deep end, and I think that's what built my character, because I was 16, I was thrown in with Afro-Caribbean boys that at that time were quite violent, very rude, very aggressive.
So I think it's good to say, like, Manchester then is not the Manchester that you know now. It was rough.
No, yeah, Manchester had sections. It had sectors. So you had a black community, you had Asian community, you had the English community, then you had the poor community, then you had the rich community, then the Polish started coming in, then the Irish started coming in. So there were little sections of communities, but I was thrown into the with respect and hypothetically the black community, and I got bullied. I had to stand up for myself. We got into a few fights, but that was because I was protecting my family values. I was protecting my family product, my family name, and that's what it was. And I don't have no regrets. I have no regrets. Alhamdulillah, I have no regrets, because I remember those days. It's not what we did then. You couldn't do now. Trust me, there's no way. We used to sleep very little, because the shop used to be open from 10 till 10, and then in the morning we would obviously wake up, as I say, 9, have breakfast and go to work, but then we would play late. Then after 10 p.m. we would go to the cinema, snooker, to a club, whatever, because we built a little group, and it was good those days. Yeah, really good.
But seeing the change, you've seen the change going from what it was before to what it is today. It must be like day and night.
Yeah, I think it's weird, but what you say, I think every generation feels a change. If I went from my parents' generation, like I'm second generation from my family in the UK, so my dad's generation would have seen something totally different. My older brother's generation would have been totally different.
What's the age difference between you and Bayushif?
I'm 59 now, and he's 73.
Yeah, 14 years. So it's a different generation completely.
So they're all our generation, and I think you asked the question about today's generation. Today's generation is social media. It's got good points and bad points. I think today's generation, I'm going to tell you straight, in my opinion, there's no loyalty. There's no family loyalty. I mean, because you hear a lot of stories when a third person comes to the family breaks up. I think the family loyalty is totally gone. So the Godfather stereo, with the Godfather 1, 2, 3, you can forget all that.
But then obviously you were loyal to the family because you worked the family business for so long. So how was that switch from obviously working in the family business then doing it by yourself? How old were you when you did that?
I was 25, 26.
Dad's underplaying the family business. Like the family business that Yusuf and Dad and everyone did was huge. Like there's no two ways about it. Everybody knows Dad from the Superstar days. Even now, I meet people in Dubai and they go, "Oh, your dad from Superstar."
Yeah, we had a chain. We took. He's right to mention that. We had 30 or 40 shops all around the northwest, across Yorkshire as well. In fact, Wrexham, Wales. Yeah, we did. But those days, I mean, I just worked. If my brother told me to go to Keighley or told me to go to Wrexham, I would have gone to Wrexham. But I did have a pleasure in that. I used to drive. I used to love driving, and I didn't mind that you'd be on the motorway. And those days, you have speed guns. There weren't cameras. The policeman, Verka was there, he had a speed gun like that. And obviously you saw him and you felt sorry for him because you put your foot down. You're doing 130, 140. He just sees you, woo. And
It's been easier to like speed back.
Yeah, he couldn't touch you. He couldn't catch you. He couldn't even ring policeman down the road because the car had gone so fast. And then as the time got on, then they started getting Porsches and Jaguars and they started chasing us, you know. We went, oh, okay, come here.
Everyone always knows I talk about snacks because at the time, I'll be honest, I hated waking 4 a.m. in the morning when I was 12 or 13. Fucking hated it. But actually looking back now, I realise it was probably the best thing for me because it really like gave me sort of like work ethic and I had to get up and we had to go for work. So what was that like for you with Superstar? Did you have to do stuff like that?
My dad, obviously being a bit of an entrepreneur, he opened a grocery shop, and I told you this, haven't I? Yeah. So what used to happen is that my dad opened a grocery shop, and we had to get fresh vegetables, fresh fruit, and in the UK, and probably the most world, it's done at early hours to get to the shops, and I used to get frustrated, and I used to get angry with my dad. Because I used to go out, come back in, home say 2 o'clock, then 3 o'clock, when Dad wakes me up, we're going to the market. And I'm thinking, what? And we go to the market, my dad's got a big van, and we're buying, my dad's bought. In fact, my dad wouldn't take me, he'll be there, and he'll ring me, and he'd say, you know, get there now, we've got to pick up all this, and we're going for this market. He's like, pick that pallet up, pick that pallet up, pick that pallet up. And my dad was so innocent. This is a very good true story, a bit innocent. He would go there in the market in his traditional clothes. He would not go to the market in trousers, jeans, shirt, nothing. So you can imagine, I'm talking about an era where white boys are seeing an Asian man walking down, buying this quantity, that quantity. And that's what made me who I am really. I've told you this, and I keep saying to this. And I used to hate it, but then I learned, 1 minute, he's my dad. So he's my dad, and that's my family, and if that person's making fun of my dad, or he's doing anything against my dad, and then that's when I used to go there, when they used to play silly buggers with my dad, because they thought he's foreigner back home, a bit slow, and they used to change the pallet. So my dad would put a ticket on that pallet and say it was tangerines or potatoes. Yeah, he'd put a ticket and he says, that's my pallet, and he'd walk away, and then he'd go down, and then when he come back for that pallet, they would change the ticket to another pallet. Yeah. So my dad would get annoyed. Yeah. He said, no, I don't want them, I want them. Yeah. And they'd try and, you know, my dad's English was quite poor, very poor in those days. It's my father, right or wrong, I'm going to protect him. Yeah. Right or wrong, I said, I'm going to protect him. So I remember going there once, and obviously I was annoyed. I was peed off. I've gone out, had good fun, played snooker, whatever, and you just got into bed, and your dad says he's having a kick-off. So I would drive up there, and I remember this story, and it's such I remember my dad says they've changed the pallet, and the guy was laughing. Honest to God, I'm telling you, I didn't think twice. I smashed him up. Yeah. I smashed him up. Because I thought you're taking the piss at my father. Yeah. Honest to God, Allah made it go out. I did it because And my dad said, "What? There's loads of other white boys there. There's loads of, obviously, they're an industry, and they're all coming in there. And obviously, they never, ever, ever, ever expected someone with a brown face that would go in there and not think twice."
Well, that must have been satisfying, wasn't it? You know what I mean?
No, it was satisfying for me because it sort of took my frustration out. Like I said, Dad, right or wrong, it took my frustration out because Dad had rang me, said, "Get your ass there," sort of thing. And I'm thinking, Dad, I've just come back.
Yeah.
You know, I've got to get up and work in the morning.
I got work in the morning.
So
Yeah. Flashback.
it was a really good. It's a true story again. I remember that. It's a really good. And after that, my dad got respect in the old market. So my dad got, you know, and there was, watermelons. They come in a case of 4, and carrying 1 is heavy. 4, and they had to carry a whole van load of them. I had to take them off the pallet, put them in the van, and I'm thinking, watermelons. And I'm thinking, whoa. And then I remember tomatoes used to be ugly shape. I remember capsicums coming from Denmark, all the fresh vegetables coming from Kenya. And, you had okra, you had all the sorts of, what we call ladyfingers. It's all sorts,
I had Khadija at 30, you had me, and Mobeen at what, 28, 29, so we're like the same age. What changed for you, like when me and Mobeen were born? How did it change?
I think when you and Mobeen were born, I just worked. I didn't think, that fatherhood thing didn't click. It was just, 1 minute, I've got to provide for them. Yeah. I've got to make sure they've got a roof over their head. I make sure they've got a pram, make sure they've got nappies. I had to make sure it had to be done. So I don't think it was fatherhood. And I think this is where your mums get it wrong. They think I was gallivanting or playing. But no, as a man, at that young age, or at 28, obviously, you just phrase it change. And I just, because what did I have at the time? I can't remember.
When I was born, you had the shop, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, one shop, didn't I?
The Cholton one, or Superstar?
Superstar. Yeah, when he was born, and then when he was about 2, I used to work 18 hours a day. And it was ridiculous just to provide for them. 18 hours a day. And I thought, there must be more to life. Because I'm working 18 hours. I was going to France, I was doing the Dover run, I was doing all that. And I thought, it has to be more to life. And then one day I just woke up, and I was in a marriage that was quite toxic. And yeah, so I woke up one day, and I thought, I'm getting stressed at home, I'm getting no appreciation. Do you even translate? I'm working 18 hours days, I'm getting accused of having affairs.
Oh my God, I can relate to it.
You know what I mean? I'm getting accused of done this and done that, thinking, what? All I'm doing is working. Because 2 different cultures, and you got to understand, it was not common facts of those days, an Asian boy speaking to an English girl or a black girl or a Chinese girl, but I was only I was serving them, trying to get money out of them, trying to say, buy more. Yeah. Trying to say, you just thought business. You didn't think you want to jump in their pants or anything. You just think you get their wallet. That's where it all got wrong, the determination of that. And then from there, and then one day I had enough. I just said, there must be more to life. I just shut shop.
Did you?
Yeah, I had 4 or 5 shops at a time. I thought, nah. There were news agents, providing. So like when Princess Diane died, I remember I was in the news agents and things like that, and they things, and then what happened then was I just thought, nah, there must be more to life. If I was in my father's shoes, and I had to emigrate with a young family to a country, I would say no. Yeah. I would say no. I say stay in your country, build your country up, protect the country. Yeah. Because wherever you go, doesn't matter how much you try to blend in, you'll always be a foreigner. You always will be. Because the way we are brought up in any culture, it's the way culture is very, very important. Because through culture, you get identity, and that identity can be offensive to certain people. So that's why it's important to stick with your own. It's very hard, very hard.
But then you say that, but then I also say, with you growing up in the all the different communities, whether it be like the Caribbean, the blacks or whatever, that probably made you into a better person because you could deal with different types of people as well.
True, very true. True, but those days, there was no barriers. You mean, you could have a conversation with another culture and they wouldn't see you as a Muslim or a black boy or a green boy or a yellow boy. You know, they'll just see you as a person. Did you know what I'm trying to say? But now you've got this discrepancy now. When you go to somewhere now, you have to blend.
Yeah.
You have to show your wealth.
Yeah.
You have to show your status.
It's when you see, for instance, the UK back then to what the UK is today. Do you understand, why there's so many British people who are unhappy with the change in their own society? How it's like, how they went from their own culture to now it being like a blend of cultures and that type of thing.
I think you've just hit the nail on the head. Integration. I think Denmark probably got it right. I think in the UK, the reason why the UK attracted many was because the National Health Service, anything medical was free, and also the state benefit was free. So if you worked, if you didn't work, the state would pay for you. The state would pay for your accommodation, it would pay your healthcare, everything. So other countries, you had to get insurance, you had to do this, you had to do that. I think the British attracted a lot of. I mean, it was a big thing though. I mean, you got to think about it. A lot of people think, 1 minute, I'm earning say X amount rupees in Pakistan. I have to work 30 days.
Yeah, but I think Hajjadi's generation, probably up to the 70s, that they come over to work.
They came over to work,
and that's why, like, go on, sorry.
Sorry, they came to work to send money back.
Yeah, but they still come over here to work though, so
Yeah.
the economy was still building something from it.
Yeah,
That's
correct.
why I think your generation, there was a bit of shit about racism, but it wasn't too bad because you all sort of integrated and then your generation all worked. It's the generation probably the 80s and 90s where they clocked onto the benefits and the NHS.
Well said, yeah, correct.
That's why they're the Polish or the Romanians or whatever you want to say. That's why there's so much hate towards them, I'd probably say.
Yeah, because don't forget, the EU made a situation, didn't it?
Yeah.
When you part of the EU, you could move to country without any questions.
Yeah, that was the biggest one.
That was, and then when Brexit came and when they came out of the EU, another chaos came. So, I mean, I don't know. I'll ask you a question. You pick a politician. Yeah, what basis? Do you know a politician? Do you know their background? I mean, would you let an unqualified person touch your gas pipe in your house or electrical? And yet, as human beings, as novices, we put a politician in power that we have no background, no check on it. Look at Trump. Look at Steinmeier. Look at anywhere, any politician. Look at Holland. Is a right wing or left wing? And I think there's a few countries now, isn't there, that's happened to Germany as well. So it's because people are picking politicians, and these people run the world. So, you know, this is why certain governments that got certain powers, no names to be, they can control certain things. But that's a different topic. Yeah. But people don't see the circumstances that brought someone the need. And like you rightly said, so it could have been a war, but the cause of the war, you know, well, you caused it, now you have to compensate it. So these are consequences of people's actions, yes? These are consequences to the politicians that we put in power, that I believe that we don't do background checks on, we don't know. I mean, and whilst back home, they're there, don't get me wrong, but it's controlled. Because you could go somewhere, someone will know you're the son of blah, 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 what you're doing. So therefore, you're less likely to misbehave. Do you like it? If we went back to Pakistan and I introduced you as my son, that's it.
But no, like I had that in Manchester with Dad. So obviously, Dad's very well known within Manchester. I'd start to go out when I was like 18, 19. Fucking hell, you're Billy's son, you're Billy's son. I think I can't even go to this club without them knowing my dad.
Yeah, but I was okay. I wasn't. I've always had this thing about loyalty and honesty and protecting the weak. For some reason, I don't know why. I just felt if this guy, I mean, sometimes I meet people and they say, do you remember you did this? And one of my great friends now, his best friend, I never knew this. He tells me all the time. He says, Mr. Din always talks about you. I said, why? He said, he was in a fight one day. You stopped your car and you said to him, do you want me to beat the guy up? And he said, he's never heard of another Asian. This is back in the day when you got to understand, it was unheard of, someone, you know, so he always remembers, he said, everyone talked about you, Billy. It didn't bother me. For some reason, I was just like that. I think it was brought up like that. We went to a club or something, and I saw another Asian fella getting picked on, or another black lad. I would go to him and say, what's the script? What's going on? And then I wouldn't think twice. Those days, you hit first, then you talk. Do you know what I'm trying to say? It was just natural. I remember once going into a restaurant, into the kitchen. The guys have got knives in there cleaning up, and the head chef, I just knocked him out. I said, you cheeky bird, you took my films and not brought it back. I did not know the consequences of my actions, and that's what my life went through. But now, society is different. Everyone knows, because of social media, consequences of your actions. Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, the British Empire grew on divide and conquer.
But even when you come back to our story as a family, it actually originates from the British Empire. So like you said, Haji Mummy and Haji Daddy, they were based actually in India, but it was because of the British Empire and them the guys splitting the line from Pakistan to India that Haji Mummy and Haji Daddy had to do that journey. And you know better than me, like Haji Mummy's told a story, through Dad told us stories where she had to like be in a cart pretending to be dead just
in a cart.
But that actually originates from the British Empire. So how I look at it is, 1 minute, if 2 generations before me have had to do that because of what your ancestors have done, my ancestors can come to, we can come to your country, take what we want, and then make the most out of this to move on to the next place.
But that's a very good point you just brought up. That when Mum was in the car, and there were soldiers on the sideline, Mum tells you the piles of bodies on the roads, people just dead. And only this year, they're going to acknowledge it. They're going to say, yeah, we did wrong. You mean, that's how many years later?
Because people think about these world wars being like years ago. It's my grandparents, literally 2 generations, Dad's parents, that had to go through that type of stuff because of the British Empire. Yeah, so everybody has this big thing about the British Empire, but actually, bro, it was like, 80 years ago now, but when I learned about it, it was like 60 years ago.
Yeah, it has had massive consequences
across the world. But you think like Mum's side of the family is from the Caribbean. The only reason Mum's family was in the Caribbean was again because of the British Empire. Like literally, my whole family has just been confused with the British Empire, and you're just thinking like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, because don't forget, the truth be known, they won over India with just 200 soldiers. I mean, you imagine that, because the Maharajas, the wealth the Indians, Muslims or Indians or Sikhs had was next level. And I had a passion for property, because I did it when I was 16, and those 5-6 properties I gave to the family. And you know, like you do, you just thought, yeah, if they need it, family can have them. What I would do, I didn't want the headache, so I would have like an open day. I'll say, right, I'm doing viewings between 2 and 4. If you're interested in the house, come. So people will come and they'll give you the story, we got this money, with that money. And then I will pick one of them and I'll say to them, look mate, it's simple like this, yeah, you've got the house, yeah, just make sure I don't have to come here collect my rent. Just make sure the rent is paid in the bank account. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And obviously we had a portfolio grew, and there's some stories I can tell you how I got my rent and what we had to do. It was all sorts. But that's when I got into properties, and I started buying houses. And then as the property market, and you had credit crunches and all the things changed the market, you know, trends and so forth. But I was bleeding property, so I kept some. And then I got a forte, my forte become, I bought derelict properties. I bought properties with structural problems that were falling down.
If we fast forward a little bit, how did you meet Gino Cross?
Interesting. I think it was a cold call. He called me. he must have been working, and he did a call me, and at that time I was looking at Dubai Hills.
No, we were looking at Habtoor.
Yes.
Remember the one in Business Bay?
Business Bay, looking at Habtoor. But Gino rang me up for help in buying properties, and that's how we got it. And we just clicked. I liked the way he came across on the phone. I liked his persona. I liked the way he handled himself. I liked his honesty. And we just clicked. And he, Gino was not by any means wet behind the ears, because he actually did the due diligence of my company in the UK, and he liked the idea what I did in the UK. In the UK, it was 3 easy steps to buy a property. For me, I'll buy your property in 3 easy steps. I'll come and view it. I'll pay you this list of fees, and you get the money within days, cash, And he liked the idea, and he said, "That's a good idea. How did it work?" He actually interrogated me. He did actually interrogate me, asking, "How do you do? What do you do?" Blah blah. There's one thing about me, I must say, I don't begrudge anyone. So if someone asks for advice, and I'll try to give them my honest advice. I wouldn't say, "Why are you asking?" and "Who are you?" and I'm not like that. I don't think. I mean, even now, people come up to you and say, "Oh, how would you do this transaction? I've got this issue," or I'd say, "Yeah, fine." The way I would do it is this. And if someone wants a contact or something, I wouldn't think twice. Take it, because I think if someone came in, for example, wanted a video recording or whatever your good self, and then if we do well and I like you, and I'll just say, "Yeah, he's a good guy. Go use him." It's networking. But I don't really network in terms of I should do. But don't. I think
your network's more like what's the best way to say it? What people referral in terms of your reputation. That's your network.
Yeah, I think you're right to say that. I think people that know me pass me on reputation, and I think the best thing about me, and I must highlight this, is if I've shook a hand, that's it, deal's done. Whether it's good for me or not, if I give you my word, it's done. If I've said I'm going to resolve that problem, because my philosophy over the years now has been, nothing's the problem. Doesn't matter what, nothing's the problem. You just got to look at a different view and solve the problem. If someone came to me and said, "Oh, my house is this," or "I'm doing this," or "I'm doing that," and then I'll look into it, I'll just get my head around it and say, "Yeah, well, nothing's not a problem. You can do this, you can do that,"
What do you think the turning point was for you in your life? Like, when you went from, I don't know, like just running the shops, having a few properties, to then obviously having a point where you thought, "Forget this, we're going to have like X amount of properties, Westwood," all that type of stuff as well?
There was a little crash. There was a little crash in the early 2000s, not 2008, not the financial crash. There was a little dip in properties. So I think that dip came when BCCI got done for all that South American money coming through and so forth. It was like billions. It affected the world, and especially the American market, and that caused a little dip. And sorry, what was the question again?
What do you think the turning point was for you, from just like running the shops, having a few properties, to then thinking like, "No, we're gonna build something, build Westwood, build the businesses"?
I think it was the passion. I think I clicked onto a formula that worked. Do you know what I'm trying to say? A business formula, a business equation that worked. I knew the valuer, I knew the bank, I knew the agent. What else you need?
Relationships.
I've got all three. So if I wanted to buy something say that you were selling that cup to me in the auction, and I wanted the information, he'll give me all the information. He's looking for this much, you can do for this much. And if I want to pay £1 for it, the valuer, the auctioneer will be my mate. He'll say, "Yeah, it's only worth."
Was a lot of backhanders then?
Yeah, that's a good. So you forget, they used to call it drink money, and I used to pee me off because I don't drink. In terms of what they were saying, alcohol. So you go in there and you say, "Right, if you get that deal, I'll give you a little drink." That's a little drink. So you give them a couple of grand and deal. Because then they're getting the deal. Even the surveyor, you don't drink it, done. Yeah, you're right. There was drink money. You forget the formula. But the formula works, and it still works now.
I was going to say, even now, what we do, it's not drink money, but like, for example, if someone gives you a deal, we'll call it a referral. Yeah, do you know what I mean? But it's still a drink. You're still giving him half the commission or give him half of something to get the deal done. I think it don't matter what generation you live in. Backhanders are what gets the world running, basically, isn't it?
And I think reputations are key. I mean, even now, like you right said, so I can ring up certain agencies and, you know, get a deal done from here because they know if I've said it's done, it's done. Like now, there's a big agency in Manchester, and then if I want to know any information, any property, I'll just give her a call because she knows me back in the day. She knows, yeah, well, he's fine. I'm not going to say she gave me the information. I'm not going to say, I'm just going to get the deal done. If I say I'm going to pay £1 for that, I'll pay you £1. You know, that. Even now, honest to God, Allah Miragwa, I'm blessed, I'm truly blessed. Even now, people still ring me and they say, look, can we just pick a brain? Things have changed by all means, but you know, we sit down, we'll have a coffee and we'll say, right, do this, do that.
Did you at some point in your life when you begin to see that you were making good money, like a lot of money, more than you've ever seen before in your life, did you have anything in your heart that kind of went a little bit away from the purity and the innocence that you had to, and then to something that was not so pure, but then you had a shift of heart back to that? Like, did it ever change you?
There's certain things have changed. I think my blessing is my daughter. She changed me. I mean, when Zara was born, it wasn't expected, and I thought, wow, it was different. My daughter changed my life because she brought her own rizq, and I think she changed it. And wealth-wise, never thought about it. Never looked at my bank balance. Never thought. Obviously, back in the day, if you're on the borderline, because you looked at bank balance. No, I like challenges, and I never thought about it. Some people used to ask me back in the day, how many houses do you own? What do you own? And honest to God, I didn't know. I really didn't know, because after 2008, after credit crunch, I had a portfolio, and I was stuck with it. I couldn't sell it, so that's what became into more rental.
Because you bought them to flip, innit?
Yeah, every house I used to buy the derelict houses, do them up and sell them. So you make a lot more profit that way. So that was the formula. So I ended up with X amount of houses. I think I can't even mention. And I think even today, someone said, well, what you own? I said, I don't know. So we were talking about one particular house. I didn't know. I still own that house in Winslow. Benson Close.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought, bloody hell, I still own it. And I didn't know.
I thought we sold that in auction.
No, still got it. 4-bed house in Winslow. Didn't know. I think as a father, you asked me a question before about giving advice and so forth to Naheem. I think I can't give him advice because you can only give advice to someone who's wanting advice. So he needs to ask, then I can give him. Yeah. So it's not the other way. I can't force my opinions on him. He's at his own path.
But was that different from when you were young and your parents, like maybe not forced, but like, you know, like in terms of mindset wise, were they more telling you to do stuff even though you didn't?
I think what they said I did, but I would never go back for the advice. Because as a young child, and I think most children now, even now, think they know better. So I thought I knew better. So therefore I wouldn't go and ask for advice. Because mentally I thought I know better. And I was blessed in because the environment I grew up and the environment they knew were different. I grew in an environment where there was actual physical effort needed to have a persona, have a presence, whether you were a gangster or whether you were a property dealer, whatever, you had to have a persona. If you didn't have a persona, you would have been swallowed. I think you would have been swallowed up. But yeah, I'm here if he wants advice. I can't give advice because I can't force you. You've got your own path. You make your own friends. Obviously, I've met some of your friends. If someone I didn't feel right about, I would have said so. That because I think network is the key. If you have negative people around you, it's going to drown you down. So if you have positive people around you, then.
But do you feel like it's easier to come to your father for advice now than it was before since you became a father?
Not since I became a father. I think since I moved here. Like I have asked you in certain situations, what would you do in this? Rather than asking for advice, you just ask Dad, like, what would you do in this situation?
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
You do that.
Yeah. And then you find out what Dad would say, you find out what Gino would say, you'd find out what somebody else would say. The idea is you get the information from different angles and then you could just put it all together and make your own decision from there. I think that's what I do in terms of...
I think that's the right way to do now, because the days are gone when the father, because the society's changed. I mean, he has to deal with different obstacles, social media, bad presentation, whatever, you know. Whilst my day was, I think, any media advertisement, any social advertisement was good or bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's so true.
But now, I don't think it's the case.
Now you've got to be careful with what you do and what you say. And even if, for example, it happened to you and it's not happening to me, but it might be sort of happening to me. People used to associate you with a certain trade because of the people that you hung around with. And I'm not getting the same thing, but sort of being put in that sort of bracket at the moment because of people I'm hanging around with or people I'm doing deals with at the moment. So people are sort of putting me in that bracket and I'm thinking, oh, fucking hell, I've got a company, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Why are you putting me in that bracket?
If I'll show you a scenario. Because my friends were black,
Yeah.
I mean, Jamaican, Yardies, whatever. And that time, cannabis and drugs was associated with black people. And thuggery, crime was associated with black people in the UK, in Manchester. And they were my friends. So people outside that community thought 2 and 2 made 5. They thought because I'm associating with the person that deals in crime, I'm a criminal. Do you get it? So, but I knew I wasn't, and I was oblivious to that. I didn't know people saw that in me.
Yeah.
I just thought, you know, it's like your Uncle Phil. I mean, I've actually known him for 40 odd years, and he's a black fella. And I mean, he's done well. He became the manager of Lloyd's Bank.
The thing we have as well is, alhamdulillah, the money you can make in this job, alhamdulillah, is really good. Yeah, and you'll make 100, 200, 300k off one deal. And it is almost like drug money because of how much money you will make. But people just see the amounts of money that you're making in certain scenarios and automatically assume you've made that money.
Well, criminal.
Do something wrong.
That's because they underestimate you. In their eyes, they don't think you're an able and capable person. So either you can just close that page and just ignore them and continue. And I would say continue the basis that you do Sadqa Zariyah, you're charitable.
Yeah.
Because envy, the 10 commandments, as you go through them, they're there. So you can't alter people's image of you. You can't force them to say, you know, A is B or B is A. You can't do that. So what you have to do is you have to ignore that, because that's time, effort, brain power used for no good reason. So you can use that time, brain power for positive things. So that's where you go to charitable range. You go that angle. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Because I'm at an age now where I've retired. Alhamdulillah, I'm blessed. My bills have been paid for. I've got good children. Inshallah, I wish them the best. I wish them they keep the path of deen, path of culture. Whether you marry mixed cultures, you've got to have culture, and having culture, because that's your identity. So people ask you, are you Emirati or are you English? Yeah, you have to say you're Pakistani, and because you might get a society where people look down on Pakistanis, as you see they do in this particular country, because they do all the graft. But then you can counteract that by saying, well, a minute, it was the Pakistanis that built the country, Bengalis or Indians or Africans, Ghanaians, or whatever. You know, they built this country. Their blood and sweat built this country, and you see them. You see them sat in the line when they're waiting. They're talking to each other. There's no, oh, you're from Africa. I'm better than you. You're better than me. There's not. Have you seen them? They actually communicate, and it brings you back to what Mum. I've not seen it in my life, but it brings me back to what my parents saw, my dad saw.
The biggest one for me is, I always bring this story up. He used to work for Dad. He's called Joseph Lobo. He's passed away now. He worked on the Burj Al Arab. So he was actually one of those labourers that come over from India and worked on the Burj Al Arab, yeah? He did everything that he needed to do. Worked over it, ended up getting a visa to the UK. His son and daughter are doctors or whatever they are. He owns a house, well he did before he passed away, owned a house that he rented out in India and owned like a nice 3-4 bedroom house in Manchester. So you look at these labourers and you think, 1 minute, if Joseph Lobo, he's like what these guys are aspiring to do, to be able to better themselves and actually provide for...
Rest in peace, George Lobo. Good man.
Provide for their families back home. And I respect them honestly, because firstly I look at my own grandparents and Haji Daddy living in a room with 8 or 9 people, which is exactly what these people are doing, and you see what Haji Daddy and what he was able to provide. Then you look at someone like Joseph Lobo, he was actually someone working here 20 years ago. He was funny, Joseph Lobo, but
Joseph Lobo, you've got to understand what he did. If you look outside the box, he made sure his family were taken care of first. Yeah. His brothers and sisters are in Sharjah.
He still live here, doesn't he?
Yeah, he still lives in Sharjah. And you know, he's got a house in Goa. His parents were taken care of. He did the same formula that your grandparents did, and what all some immigrants will do. And he took care of himself last, but he worked, he grafted, he became a technician. He was hard work to talk to, communicate with, but he had respect, and I gave respect to him. And it was a bit sad though, you know, he was a Christian, Indian Christian, and it was a bit sad. I went to his funeral, and I was a bit disappointed at the turnout. Person I was.
Yeah, but I bring Joseph Lobo's story up every time I see his labourers, because you actually think about, that is the story in it. That is how he bettered himself, and people slag the labourers off, they smile or whatever, but actually you look at the story of what they can achieve from the life that they had, and you think, nah, they're good then.
But the media twisted, don't it? The media make it look like they're victims, and they've been forced to do it.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, because everyone says it's slave labour, and I say, 1 minute, it's not slave labour, because I've seen the exact example of what can happen if they do everything that they're meant to do.
Yeah, because they wouldn't have that life back home.
No.
Because most of these people, about 99.5% of them, send money back home.
Majority of the money gets sent back home.
Sent back home. I see it on payday. They're at the TransUnions, what do you call these? Money transfer. Western Unions, all these Ansaris, big queues. And I think, well done, well done. I mean, I like you said, I'm almost 60, and I tell everyone I'm 21, by the way.
You know, it buzzes when people say, "Oh, you brothers."
Yeah.
So.
Same with my mom. My mom's like, everyone thinks I'm your sister.
That's like.
Yeah, peace, sukoon, patience, being humble. It'll come from Dean. For me, I'm close. I've got zikr being played now in the house. It's because I don't want the stress. I don't want the tension. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, Allah has given me a lot. I'm happy. Now all I do is pray for my kids to get Deen, follow the right path. Recently when I text them, I always put these 3 words in. Culture, Deen, identity. And it's up to them how they interpret those 3 words. You know? And then I think this year alone I've said to them, look, you're a Sharif. That's my father's name. And you have to honour my father. Because my father, if he didn't make that journey to the UK, I wouldn't be here. Yous wouldn't be here. And you don't know what my path would have written. So this is why when Naheem went back to Pakistan in 2018, he enjoyed Pakistan. Because he felt, 1 minute, this is a bit of me. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And then, obviously, I never took him back to his hometown. But when I take him back to his hometown, he'll click. Yeah. He said, these people, the terminology I use, are a bit crude, I think. Eat.
Say it's alright. We'll beep it out, don't worry.
Tell him.
Eat, sleep like me.
Honestly, you'd be shocked. We talk the same. You know, then you click, 1 minute, this is why when they split India, you got Punjabi people in India and you got Punjabi people in Pakistan. So we eat the same. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. When you go to,
This is why, sorry to interrupt, this is why, you know, you see the tensions between Pakistan and India. Because we went to the border and you see how close they actually are. When I was there, you're thinking, like, how is there any tensions between these type of people? 60, 70 years ago, it was the same fucking country.
They actually come to Pakistan.
Yeah, like the food's the same, everything they do is the same. But you've seen this tension between India and Pakistan.
Do you know, paisa, money, can be a punishment? Do you know what I mean? Allah can give you so much paisa, so much money, yeah, and He's watching what you do with it. It's a test. Honest God, doesn't matter whether it's £100 or whether it's £100 billion or whatever, but it's a test. You have a duty. I believe so. I believe so. So I'm only a small person in the whole wide world. I'm only an ant in the whole wide world of things. But even in ant world, you know, Allah works. You know, animal world, there's always a circle. It's just amazing. It's amazing. Bottom line, I was wishing the best, and as in Naheem, 14, 16, just be careful. Watch your wallet. You can make bad deals, judgment calls, but you put down to experience. But you must have the passion. If you haven't got the passion to get up in the morning and the passion to provide for your family, there's issues. There's issues. As a father, it's a manhood. You know, every person becomes a father, and you want to make, because it's your offspring. I mean, I have like Naheem mentioned, I have Naheem and Mobeen.